How fasting can help you overcome sexual sin. Fasting is a discipline of self-denial. It means living a life that is separated from pleasures. Fasting could be carried out in different ways. However, whichever way anyone chooses to fast, all forms of correct fasting helps to put the flesh under subjection. If anyone claims to be fasting without having their body being put in check, then such a person did not fast correctly. Each time you fast, your flesh is expected to be weakened and put under subjection, while your spiritual sensitivity to sin and to the Holy Spirit is enhanced. Fasting puts a high level of discipline on our flesh. However, it does not mean that we punish ourselves when we fast. There is a vast difference between discipline and punishment. The reason why we have to fast to discipline our flesh is because the flesh is our enemy. One of the greatest enemies is the flesh, our old nature. Your flesh is not saved. Your spirit is what is saved. Your physical body will still desire the sinful practices it used to practice before you were saved. Galatians chapter 5, verses 16 and 17 says, "This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would." The greatest enemy that the Holy Spirit encounters in his operation in human lives is not the devil, but the flesh. Sexual sin is part of the tendencies of the flesh, which is the fallen nature of man according to Galatians chapter 5, verses 19 through 21. The flesh has long developed its own unruly appetites, as against the wish of the Spirit of God. Therefore, we have to fight our way through by putting our flesh under subjection. And one of the ways we can put our flesh under subjection is through the practice of fasting. The only way not to fulfill the lust of the flesh is to walk in the Spirit. And one of the most effective ways to get ourselves inclined to the Holy Spirit is through fasting. When we fast, we learn to say no to the body's most basic and powerful desire, for food. Simply put, if you can gain control over your body's basic desire for food, you can learn to control your body's desire for anything. Once you learn to say no to food, you can say no to lust and sexual immorality. Fasting is largely a matter of self-denial and self-discipline. Anyone who cannot discipline himself or herself cannot fast. And if you can discipline yourself to fast, you can almost discipline yourself in other areas that require discipline. Your flesh always longs for pleasure and comfort, and if we follow its dictates, it will put us into serious trouble. Fasting often helps us put our flesh in check so that its appetites do not lead us astray. As we give ourselves to fasting, we will discover that our minds are being narrowed to the things of the Spirit. More so, the unwholesome thoughts that make people fall into the sin of lust and the act of fornication